Hello, 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 and good evening, everyone. Welcome to Relive Podcast here in Austin, Texas. Um, Guys, Relive Podcast is on every Tuesday, 7:45. We've changed the time, 7:45 Central Standard Time. So follow us on Facebook Live, YouTube, and Spotify. Um, so today, y'all, it's Tuesday and we're in Austin and it rained a little bit today. So,
On
y'all, we're going to go ahead and get started on that
your side of town, though, not over here.
on my side of Maine, not on Erica's side of the street.
I
On
ain't got
the north side of 290, it didn't rain, but on the south side of we consider
yeah.
it rained. So, welcome, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Tonight, we will be talking about presentationships. So, before we get started, Erica, how was your weekend?
It was great. I had a good weekend.
It was good.
Can't complain. No, it was good.
Yeah, I had a pretty decent weekend. It was actually I had a funeral that I went to. My cousin passed away, so um, I went to a funeral. Got to hang out with my cousins, which it is fun hanging out with my cousins, but
Yeah.
under a different circumstance, I wish we all could hang out. But unfortunately, we hung out. We had a good time, and everything was cool. And my cousin, he got very, very nice, and it was a good weekend. Sad weekend, but good, but
And then
good. Yeah.
Sunday we got to do some fancy fry stuff on Sunday.
We sure did. On Sunday, we Fancy Fries had a photo shoot.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did. Had all this food over here we was cooking. So yeah, that was cool too this weekend. We sure did.
Yeah.
Erica, thanks for reminding me of that because I actually forgot.
It was cool. Yeah, it
It
did.
was cool, yeah. So tonight, guys, we will be talking about presentation ships in a relationship. Um, Presentationships, how people present themselves in a relationship.
Mm.
So we'll go ahead and get started about that. So, Erica, when we talk about presentationships, uh, what comes to mind with you when you talk about presentationship? When I say the word presentation ship, what does that mean to you?
The first thing that came to my mind was because we always talk about this is their representative, the person that we meet
What
first.
does that mean to you? Uh-huh.
So that representative that we meet in the beginning, I always feel like people hold back. I feel like they tell you what they want you to hear. Um, in that very beginning. Um, so for me, it's definitely taking time to get to know that person. I think the more conversations that you have, the more that you spend time and just really talking and getting to know that person, that's when you're really going to get to know who they are before you start to get into anything too in deep. And we talked about this already previously on one of our other episodes or podcasts, but before the sex gets involved and other things get involved, um, I think just getting to know that person, because I just always feel like you get the person that they want you to know, if that
Right, right. Yeah,
in
yeah,
the very beginning. So I think it takes time. So I always say we meet their representatives first.
right. I think so too. I think that when when people meet, it's
Hmm.
always a representation of who they want the person to meet
Hmm.
or who they want to show up. And maybe it is somebody that they want to be. And
Right.
so they're presenting something that they may not be, but they want to be that person. So that's the person that they show up front. And then I think as the relationship goes on,
Right.
then they kind of start showing who they really are in the midst of, as things start to happen and you start to get more comfortable in the relationship.
Right.
I think that of course you're not going to show the ugly side of you when you meet somebody. I think it may happen like over time. You may see some of the things you be like, oh, is that a red flag or what? We call them red flags. So it's kind of like, who is this representative is what we would call it.
Right.
Who do they present at the beginning? And I think a lot of times people don't present them real selves. And I think that is part of the problem in relationships, is
Mhm.
people don't present who they really are because they're scared that the person may not want to talk to them. What you think?
But why not? Why not just be who you are so you can attract the person that is made for you, right? Like we also know, I just think at our age, like we not 20, we not in our 30s no more. We are getting up there in our age. And so definitely why misrepresent yourself? Because in the long run, right? Like if you definitely thinking of something future,
Mm-hmm.
why not just let that person know exactly who you are? This is who I am. I'm not hiding the fact. This is all the things that I come with. So that person knows exactly what they're getting, because in the long run, we already know how things are gonna end up. So for me, it's just like be who you are, let them know who you are, what you come with. I mean, now until you get to know the person, you definitely not gonna give everything up front, but you definitely gonna, I feel like you need to give them exactly what your, I don't even want to say expectations, but I'm going to say expectations are, because
Mm-hmm.
it is. We all definitely have those expectations of what and the things that we are looking for. Let's just say that in a partner and in a relationship. So I think just definitely being upfront, being honest with the person about what it is that you definitely want. And I think standing truth to yourself on
Mm-hmm.
what it is that you want in that relationship and in that other person. So it just saves a lot of heartache to me on the other end, whether it's you or them. I think it definitely just saves a lot. And you don't have to do the whole thing. If you start to, you getting to know people in the beginning and you telling them, this is what I'm looking for. What, like, say it is marriage. Say you don't want marriage. You feel like marriage is not what it is for me at this moment in my life. Not
Right.
don't down the line, I might not, I might want it. But for right now, marriage is not just what I'm looking for. I just got out of a relationship or I just got out of a marriage, and I'm just looking to just kind of have somebody that I want to kick it with. We can hang out, we can do things together, but I'm just going to let you know that I just got out of a marriage and that's not what I'm looking for. Just say that, because
Yeah.
I don't know, a lot of times if you want to deal with that person, you're going to deal with that person. So,
Right. I think that the presentation, um, I mean, we all know that anytime we present ourselves, whether it's relationship, job, we always give our best.
mhm,
And I think that when you meet somebody and you present a certain person, that's 9 times out of 10 who you might want to be.
mm,
Uh, and maybe you should just work towards that person. You know what I mean? You may not be that exact person at that moment, but you carry some of those traits and those characteristics. But I think that you should, push forward towards that because that person is your best. That is your best person because at this point, you're trying to impress somebody. And
mm,
it's like, don't veer off of that too much. Just kind of stay in that lane a little bit because at the end of the day, a lot of times the presentation is part of who we are. We may do something a little better than we do in a relationship. But I think what happens in the relationship part of it is that when things start to get complicated,
Mm,
or life happens, then people get a little, kind of a little, um, then they other side comes out, their anger or the mean side of them, which everybody has that side. So it's kind of like, you know, we'll do this or we'll do that until something happens. And then the presentation that we showed at the beginning, it kind of goes away. So it's kind of like, I don't know if you're trying to trick somebody or if that's just the way humans are wired to do things. You know what I'm saying? So I just think that as far as that presentation is, it's like, just present what you're actually looking for, and and
mm,
then just take what you get. And if you meet something that you don't like, then you just kind of get off of it a little bit, like, oh, okay. It's no different than us going to a, a job. Maybe if we go to a job and we present our credentials,
mhm.
and then they present what the job in detail, and you don't like it, you're probably not going to take the job, right? Because you're going to say, okay, that the money that they're paying is not worth all the work, or this and that, so then you don't take the job. So it's
Right.
kind of like, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like that in relationships. But I think people play so many games that they present to be this perfect person, but
Mm,
then they're really not what they're, the presentation that they're showing at the beginning is really sometimes kind of who they are, but not who they really are. You know what I mean?
mhm. So you feel like definitely just so because you said them presenting themselves. So I guess for me, with that whole presentation, I think it's just definitely. I don't know. I just feel like people are not honest.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like people are never honest 100%. I think it's always one of those things where because we do this. What you like? Well, so when we get to know somebody, right? Those are definitely the things that okay, we ask those questions, what you do for work, you know, what are the things that you like to do? I feel like people go along with it. And it's only because so one time I was listening to one of the Steve Harvey and he was talking to on one of his shows and he was telling women and he was saying don't tell a man what it is that you like because you're giving him the blueprint, right?
Okay. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
definitely giving him that blueprint on everything that you like, and that's what he's gonna go for. Like those are the things that he's gonna give you. So I don't know. Do you feel like maybe sometimes us giving people all of that info right up front? Because I am one of those people too. Like when I meet somebody, I definitely am honest. I be like, okay, this is what I've been through. This is not what I'm gonna deal with. Like, you know, you give everybody everything up front because you are trying to be honest. This is
Right.
what I'm looking for. So sometimes I don't know if us giving everything up front and being completely 100% transparent is always a good thing. Because sometimes I feel like maybe because we have said all these things, it definitely maybe complicates things for us
Mm.
in the relationship. If you get what I'm
Could
saying,
be.
like because then it's like, oh, I know she is hardworking. I know she got her own stuff. She works. She takes care of herself. So guess what? I ain't got to do as much. So
So do you
sometimes,
really think like, so you think like during when you meet somebody and you're telling them your presentation, it's kind of like, okay, I'm this person, I'm this, I'm that. Do
mhm,
you, and then you think that people pretty much are kind of like,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
you think that
Sometimes.
that they take that and they do everything until they run out of things to do that you done told them,
Mm.
and then they kind of change up the game.
I feel like that.
Hmm. That could, I mean, I've seen that happen in, in situations. The presentation is, we talk a lot, we tell a lot, and
Mm.
then they take that and they say, okay. But do you think that, because we always hear people say, you got to tell people what you want, you got to tell people what you want.
Yeah.
What is it that we need to tell people what we want in order to, you know what I'm saying?
I don't know. That's where it gets confusing. That's why I'm saying, like, we go through all these things and we feel like we being 100% transparent. We being ourselves. But then sometimes being ourselves gets us in this thing where it's like, I don't know if it hurts us
Uh-huh.
or if it's helping us in the long run. Like, I don't know. So cuz I feel like I've been in those positions where it's like knowing that the person that you are, um,
Uh-huh.
they see, these things about you, and it's like, hmm, okay, well, she does this, and for herself. I mean, and then it ends up being where, do you need somebody? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
do you really need somebody? Do you need a man? Like, uh, what you need me for? I've heard that several times, right?
Right.
Several times in dating. What you need me for? So I don't
And it's
know.
like, what don't I need you for? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
sometimes I do feel like, I mean, I'm definitely being who I am. I don't know any other way. Like, this is who I am. This is who I've always been. This was who I was raised to be because of
Right.
being, a female, a black female. This is who I was raised to be. Not necessarily saying that I don't need anybody, you know what I mean? But
Right.
also, I know how to get out there and take care of myself. So, in that sense, that's what I'm saying. Is like, we definitely know how to get out there and take care of ourselves and do what we need to do. But also, uh, does it come off me, my representative? Does it come off too strong? And me being, so we talked about this what last week of being an alpha female or a couple of weeks ago. Like, does it come off as my representative? Does it come off being too strong?
I think in the presentation, I think that, I don't know. I guess it depends on maybe who you're talking to. You know what I mean? It depends on who you're talking to, because some people may take it that way. Then some people may take it like, okay, she telling me everything. I'm gonna give her just that, like,
Right.
but not, I'm gonna give her just that in a way that, I mean, it could go either way. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Should the alpha female be a little more, maybe taken back a little bit? I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
And so with that, so saying that for me is just like, I feel like as a female, when you are definitely shown certain things, especially
Mhm.
when you are used to doing things um for yourself and on your own, because these are the things that we are used to doing. Um, I think it comes off a certain way, but I also think that people have to realize is that um this is what I do. This is what I'm used to, right? So
Uh-huh.
you have to come in and show me something different,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if you come in and show me something different, hey, not saying that you gotta do something, but I'm just saying to say, oh, you know what? I know this is what she's told me up front.
Right.
Her life, this is what she's shown me and told me up front. But if I can come in and show her, hey, I got this, and this, or just the little things. Like I think for us, it would just show us something different.
Right, right. I got you. Yeah. Yeah. So I think that I think that sometimes presentation can be pretty much kind of lies. I think that sometimes people can really get into it and present themselves as a good person. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think that when you go into these situations or these relationships, it's like you should always kind of be honest because it's like,
Yeah.
what do you get out of and shit? People may get a lot out of
Right.
tricking people or pretending to be something, and then it's really something different. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So we probably could, you know, maybe at the beginning not give so much information and not give so little and be have a little boundaries on what we're going to give and what we're not going to give.
Okay,
You know what
so
I'm saying?
now I'm over here thinking. So what do you think? So when you say that, saying giving certain things and not giving certain things. So what do you think are the things that are definitely most important when you're presenting yourself to somebody and you're getting to know this person and it's somebody that you have met, y'all have went out a few times and you know, okay, I'm digging this person and I think especially moving forward because I really like this person. We have went out on a few dates now. I'm not saying on that first date you're supposed to let everybody know your whole life story, right?
Right.
But definitely, okay, moving forward and we didn't went out a few different times on these dates. I'm gonna even say past a month. Y'all going out, y'all kicking it. At what point do you let that person, or what are the things that you definitely say? This person needs to know X, Y, and Z about me. And when does it become one of those things where it's like they need to know this because this is my life. This
Right.
is what
Right.
you need to know about me if we're going to move forward without it being one of those things where you're lying or you're being dishonest and not telling them the full life story. And then 9, 10 months, we in a relationship now, and you disclosing things to me. Like, when at that point it's like, okay, was it a misrepresentation?
I think that
Was it a lie?
I
Like,
think that you don't have to tell everybody everything. I
mm-hmm,
think that sometimes we get so caught up in trying to impress. So when we do present ourselves to somebody that we meet, we're automatically in the we get into because we're happy
mm,
and we haven't went through anything with the person because
right,
we don't really know them yet. So we get into this presentation mode like, oh, my name is Michelle. I got a good job. I got grown kids. We don't tell them that them damn kids be giving us problems.
right,
And then we start going into all of those things, just really being honest. And then somebody else comes in and they don't tell you everything about them because what we understood in the past or even in the present is that people don't disclose everything. And
mm,
it's like, should they or shouldn't they? You know what I mean?
right,
And then you start to think what is very important to disclose in the presentation of a relationship and
right,
what is it not to disclose.
right,
Okay. You know that you're going to get with the person. So you disclose, well, I have kids, my kids' daddy be tripping,
mm-hmm,
or so you start to disclose what is it that you can disclose. What is it that you should? Is it a certain time where you should maybe disclose something? And as you see the relationship progress, then
right,
maybe you should tell a little more as time go by.
right,
So, it's kind of like you get caught up in a web a little bit because you don't know what to do. But I think early on in a situation, the only thing somebody really needs to be knowing about you is your name, where you work,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe not even where you live. Just
Right.
kind of, okay, my name is this, and then you're going on dates. And as the trust is built up,
Okay.
then you tell somebody a little more, depending on where you see the relationship going. Other than that, this is what I'm presenting. I don't need to give too much
Okay.
because I don't even know if we're going to be going together. We're just talking at this point. Like, it's like meeting a strange man somewhere and then you just start giving him all your business. For what? What if he just show up at your house one day?
Right.
Like, so you got to be, I think, careful with your presentation when you meet somebody. Now, we know a lot of people get in presentationships because they stick along with that part of them for a lengthy period of time until they get somebody where they can't get out of.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess maybe we can ask the audience, have you guys ever been in a situation where you feel like it was a presentation ship, like somebody presented something to you that they actually were not, or that they down the line you found out he didn't tell me that, or he lied about that, or that ain't really who he is? Have you guys ever been in those type of situations? If you have, comment and tell us about what you think about somebody, and when you did notice that that was just a representative, we would call, or that they were just presenting some that was not true about them, how did that make y'all feel?
Yeah, and how long? So when you said that, because I do agree with that. Like, I'm not definitely saying that you got to disclose your whole life to somebody because you don't know where things are going, right? You definitely got to get to know somebody before you start to. But I think the basis of our life and the things that we have definitely been through and the things that we are looking for are definitely one of those things that we have to let somebody know up front. Like, this is what I've already been through. I'm not saying that you
But
got to
do
give
you
them
think,
detail. I don't think you got to give them detail.
but okay, but why do you feel like that's so important?
So I feel like for me,
Uh-huh.
for meeting somebody up front and telling them, hey, I just got out of a 20 something year relationship, right? With somebody that was definitely, dishonest
Mm-hmm.
and was a cheater. So for me, that's one of the things that's a deal breaker for me. And this is what I'm looking for. If these are the things that you are not looking for up front, then I don't want no part of it.
So why don't you just, so okay, so if that's the way you present yourself, why
Mm,
don't you just wait until you see? Because I think that, because then what I, and so we talked about this just a few minutes ago. Then
right.
you kind of tell them, like, okay, now he knows that you've been with somebody that's dishonest. So he know if he dishonest, he got to hold that back a little bit until he woo you in.
That's
So
true.
why don't you just watch him? Like, okay, you know what? I ain't finna really tell him nothing about me. My name is this, woo, woo, woo. And we just dating. And the only thing you need to know is that I live in Austin. I live in Manor. I live in Pflugerville. I got 2, 3
Okay.
kids. And then you just go and you watch them, because I think over time, you will kind of tell if a man or a woman is being dishonest, because the presentation is going to go away at some point.
Right.
Just think about it. Like when we get on these jobs, they be like, oh, we got good benefits and we are team players here. And then you get to work and ain't nobody playing on the team good. You know what I'm saying? So do you think that we, during the presentation, um, we tell too much and then it turns into a presentation ship? The relationship ends up being just based off of who they present, and it's not really the true individual.
So that's what I was saying earlier, is that I'm not saying in your first date, 2 dates. I'm definitely
Mhm.
saying you definitely got to get to know somebody, not in the very beginning. But I feel like after you done went out on some dates and you like, oh, I'm feeling this person, like we talking, we communicating, we get to know each other. There's a lot
Mhm.
of things that I could see I'm thinking at that point, after some weeks or so, and you going out on some dates and all these conversations that you should be having up front, I think you should know. Okay, this is definitely a person that I could see myself with in a relationship.
But
Um,
how do you know after some weeks?
after I'm saying, I ain't saying okay,
Maybe months,
maybe a
maybe a
few months,
some
but
months, some years.
so in those first, maybe within the first month or so, like you definitely gonna have those conversations. So, okay, how did your last relationship end? Why did your last? What happened in your last? Because that's one of the things that I ask
Uh-huh.
when you get to know somebody. Those are the things that you need to know, right? So how when was your last relationship? Okay, well, how long did that last? Okay, well, why did that end? Those are the things that you definitely
They
want.
never gonna tell the truth. It's always gonna be a lie. See, and that's the crazy part
Right.
we because in our mind we have been told that, or we think that if I just be honest, he will be honest, right? But
True.
what we end up finding out down the line, if we go talk to, because remember, we only getting a one-sided presentation.
True.
Half of the time, these men or these women tells us a story
Hmm.
that should be lies. We'll end up running into them women, or them men end up running to another man that woman have dated,
Hmm.
and it be a total lie. Because you got to remember, he gonna present to you that he was the best man. He paid all the bills.
Whole
He did
point.
this. He did that. He took care of his kids. He did. Now something happened, because we say it all the time. Women don't leave good men, right?
Hmm. We do.
Women don't leave good men. So if you such this good man and you paid out, and we got all these women and men looking for a relationship, and somebody just gonna drop you and you did all that, no. And so what we know is that the presentation be a lie. And
Mm,
so I think what before I got in married and in the situation I'm in, having a husband, what I've realized was that a lot of these guys, they present themselves and what they want you to see at that moment.
mm,
And then once they know that you really like them, after the sexual activities happen and all the things happen, and you get close to them, they say, okay, they shake it off. Let me take off this baggage. Because now she's showing me that I'm doing stuff. She's still here. I'm doing this. She's still around. And I think kind of that's where, and I'm going to speak for women because I'm not sure about men, but I think that's where a lot of women get bamboozled at. It's because they be like, well, I was honest and he told me he would never do that to me. And then he really, you have just told him, like you said earlier, everything that he needs to do
right.
to lock you in. Once you locked in, you spend so many years getting out of it. When it's like you should just, I think that, and like I said, I'm gonna just speak for women because I'm not a man. I don't know how men operate with women, on the man side. But
Right.
women, I think that when we meet, it should just be, how you doing? Oh, yo, go to dinner, meet up later on, talk on the phone a little bit, kind of get to know them over the phone in a distance.
Mm.
Let 7, 8, 9 months go by. Because at that time,
7 or 8 months.
something is going, yeah. I think, because I think women are doing it too fast, and then they spend the duration of their relationship trying to get them to do good. The short period be all day. Everybody's loving each other. We on the phone all day. We kicking it, and then
Mm,
boom, the boom happens. And then when the boom happens, now you spend the next 4, 5 years just trying to get him to do right. When you could have spent 4 or 5 years getting to know him. Or 2 years getting to know him. And then you like, nah, it's been 2 years. He really ain't checked off none of my checklist. And you ain't even got it. No, these women don't even have to tell him the checklist.
hmm.
Your checklist should be for yourself. You shouldn't have to tell him nothing. It should be like, you know what? Okay. Okay, he did that.
I agree
I
with
ain't telling them nothing about me.
that. Hmm.
All you know is I got 3 kids and I'm not with their daddy no more. It does not matter why we broke up. because it ain't got nothing to do with what we doing. So I don't care to tell you about it. And I think as women, that's what we mess up at, because when we get with these men, we start letting our guards down and we start feeling a little sentiment like, oh look, I can tell him he's talking on. I'm telling him things. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
And really, it's just like they is checking in their head, like, well, she stayed with him that long. He did what? Then they already know what you're gonna put up with and what you're not. So they know how far to go in this way.
But I think that's where, you have to come into play and know, okay, this is what I done told him, and I done been upfront with him, because I'm being transparent and I'm telling him. But also you got to be strong on your end and be like, you know what? I got to keep watching him though. I'm fixing to tell him exactly what I done been through. But I'm going to actually watch him too, and to watch the way he moves and watch the things that he do. And if he is not doing exactly and giving me exactly what I've said, then yeah, I feel like for me, I'm definitely like, at that point, I'm asking him those questions up front. I need to know.
But I think it gets tricky, though. I think
think
it gets tricky because.
But that's where you come in, though. And you know for yourself everything that you just said and everything that we have been through as women. And knowing this is what I have encountered and I have been through. I'm telling him, but I'm watching him too. And I'm listening to what he has actually been through in his relationship. What he told me happened, because I think that, but we talk about this all the time. It plays a big factor in what happened in that last relationship, right? If he was a cheater his whole relationship and he was married.
But you know what I found out? It's gonna come out. They ain't gotta tell you. You ain't, because this is the thing. A lot of them that we meet, we'll never get the whole story on them anyway. But their character gonna start speaking for itself at some point. At some point, you gonna see what happened in that past relationship. You know what I mean? That shit is going to happen one way or another. Because if that is just a person's character, whether they presenting to you something different, because what I realize a lot of people do is they play a lot of manipulative games.
True.
People have learned how to navigate people, even without people telling them. Even if we don't tell them nothing about us, they still know, watch how we move. And I think what happens for women is we get too emotionally caught up. See, men, they don't really get emotionally caught up. You got some who do, but you got men don't wear their feelings on their sleeves like us. Like they could date us today, and then later on tonight, they can be over another woman's house, spend the night with her, and they don't feel nothing.
Yeah.
But we wouldn't do that. We'd be like, oh, girl, such and such want me to come over. I was just offered with such and such eating lunch today. Girl, I feel funny. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But not them men. Yeah. Them men will be right with you. Baby, they will take you to brunch. And then tonight, during the day, they going to tell you, yes, such. So what time you get off? Okay, well, leave the door unlocked. I'll be over there by 10:30. And they just was with you earlier that day. Sure. Men don't, they're able to move around in that sense like that. What I have seen, they are able to. That's why we have so many married men who cheat. Them men could be out all day running errands with their wives at HEB. And soon as them wives go to work, or they'll say, I got to work overtime. And on their overtime, they really going to be over Miss Barbara's. While we thinking, oh, girl, we on the phone with our friends. Where he at? Oh, girl, he at work. No, he ain't. He working over Miss Barbara's, putting up some walls. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
I get it, but they still, for me, it's still, you lied, sir. You a liar. So now,
yeah, but then I think it could cut out all of that. I don't know, audience, what y'all think? Do y'all think that during the presentation, well, we know that people stay in presentationships, which is what this podcast is about. Is about the presentation being there for a period of time. But do y'all think that the presentation uh, is sometimes really not who people are? Do y'all think it's partial until a person gets to seeing how the other person moves? Tell us what y'all think.
And if it's important, like, I mean, in that very beginning, do you feel like you should be very transparent and 100% upfront, or do you wait a period of time before you, I mean, you give the import? I don't know. I feel like if
I
you
see
continue
that
to go out on people in dates and dates, I feel like after a certain period of time, it's like, okay, if you give a person a chance, y'all been out on several dates, y'all been dating for over a couple of months or so. I feel like those are things that you definitely, because you still going out on dates. Like,
I think that I think that yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. Like, you
mm,
need to talk about something, but I think that, I mean, I don't know. I guess if I was single, for me, because that's the way we've been doing it our whole life, and it has not worked.
mm,
All our life, we've been meeting these guys, tell them how somebody else did us, and hoping they don't do us like that, and then we still get done like that. I was in a whole full relationship with somebody who knew me personally. I
mm-hmm,
had been friends with this person for years. Told this person how I got done in the past. This person knew me and still did me exactly the way that I had already told them that I had been done. So it's like, do they even really care? You can tell them all day, but if that ain't the type of person they are, they're just gonna do it anyway. So it's like, why not just keep it for yourself and just watch them? Like, okay, let me see if I can just
mm,
call him in the middle of the night one night and see if he answer, or see if he can talk late at night, or see how he move with that. I think that what I think, and just seeing how ineffective it has been, seeing how ineffective it has been to tell a man your story, it has not worked. That shit has not worked with anybody. You could go tell them your story. They still gonna do stuff you don't like. You could sit up, you could be like, oh, I got done like this and that. It still ain't gonna stop them from doing it. And then I think that's what we get emotionally hurt at. It's like, I just told him that, and he gonna do the same thing I just told him.
and that's when you exit stage left. Bye, nigga. I'm out.
So,
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think it can go both ways. I think, I'm not saying that you gotta pour your heart out within the first few weeks. I'm never saying that. I'm just saying after we have both talked and we are both agreed that we are vibing, that we want to, we could see future. I'm just saying, like, you start to have those long conversations and y'all are dating and going out on all these dates and y'all are getting to know each other, y'all talking about family, y'all talking about all these things, and then it's like, I feel like you give him some things, definitely, and it's like after that, like, if I start to see, I don't know, I
so
feel like,
you want a little heads up, so
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 I
you can
want to
look
know,
for
because look, I
something.
want to know if you lying or not, and if you lie, that's even more of a reason, like, you out. Like,
But how would you know if they lying?
because, so you gonna start to see those definitely those signs, like you said, you continue to watch them, right?
Yeah,
And I
but
feel like,
then you didn't already put your heart out to him, so it's like,
I'm not pouring my heart out, but I am telling him these little bitty things, like, that
so
I
basically you're saying
am.
like, this is what I put up with. I'm not putting up with that no more. But,
Absolutely.
okay, but listen to this. But when women do that, do they leave when they see? No, they don't. So they just get caught. You, I'm telling you, we could do a poll probably and ask the woman if she go present herself, and then she tell me, hey, this is what I've been through. I ain't dealing with that no more. I don't do this. And then the man does it. 9 times out of 10, the women do not leave.
Yeah.
They should, because it's like, I already told you. So
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But they
Yeah.
don't. But I get what you're saying. I'm gonna read some of these comments. Janice said, yes, people will be scared to tell and receive. Um,
What we doing?
Shanti said, if the individuals are mature enough to have a real grown-up conversation, they will automatically share hashtag the truth. Maturity has no age limit.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron said, when you meet someone for the first time, you're meeting their representative. Sunny said, I think men and women should be upfront.
I do too.
Aaron
And-
said, no one shows their true colors in the beginning. Uh,
But why?
I don't know. Amy said, I feel like you shouldn't be transparent at the beginning. Just take your time because giving him too much information is not always a good thing. And Vicky Laura said, all that does is show them where your boundaries are and what you accepted in the past. So now they have a guide. Just say things didn't work out and set your expectations.
I agree with that. And
Okay. And Shamir said, put all your bad ish out there first. Teresa said, it depends on what it is. I see both of your points. I always say up front, I'm not having any more kids, period. And if they want kids, then I'm out. But I do not get into everything up front. I do allow a person to show me who they are on their own.
I agree with
Shamir say the men need to come with a 5-minute trailer, baby, like a movie, like a Carfax. Shamir, you ain't lying.
man, you right.
A
You
car
right.
picture. And Teresa, I do totally agree with
I
you
do
know, the
agree with that.
kids. Yeah, we've had kids, our kids are grown, baby.
I
Y'all
say
know
that.
if
I do
them
it too.
men kids ain't got no driver's license, baby, I don't date them, honey.
Yeah,
Teresa, that is my thing.
yeah,
Um, and
absolutely.
I do believe that you should not get into everything up front. And I have in the past, I have gotten into my whole life because y'all know I'm super transparent. Baby, I'm telling
Right.
you about my life, what happened to me as a kid. And sometimes you can be too much with that.
Yeah.
Um, Amy, I do. I feel like you shouldn't be as transparent. Not today. In today's time, e- everybody have or they feel like they have so many options to where they really don't take it serious, even when you are trying to be transparent with them and you're trying to be honest and upfront. Um, just like Shanti said earlier, you know, you try to be mature, you try to be honest upfront because you know that you want this to go somewhere. So I do think that being today's time, being transparent, they really don't care, honestly. You know, if they're really not trying, and that's the other thing that comes with that. If the person know in their heart that they really not trying to go nowhere with it, you can be as transparent as you want. They're just gonna ride the ride. They're not actually going to do anything that you want them to do. Um,
But that's where we come into play. And those are the things like Vicky said, you know, setting those boundaries. And those are the things like little things that we want and that we are looking for and expecting, and they're not going through with. We have to set those boundaries, be like, okay, well, I see this, and I'm not saying with everybody, and I'm not saying that you have to give your full life story. I
right,
just think
right.
there's certain things that you definitely need to
To
ask and
disclose.
know up front and disclose up front, because I just don't, like you said, like for me, I know I'm this certain, hey, I'm this, and I don't want kids. I'm not having kids. I need you to know this up front.
Right. I think those type of things are
That's
important.
what I'm saying. Certain things I think that we need to disclose. I'm not saying that you have to give everything, but I think there are certain things that needs to be said up front and disclosed when you meet somebody. I'm this and I'm not, I don't want no kids. Just like you say, okay, if you meet somebody tomorrow and you's like, okay, I know that they have kids at a very young age and they 2 years old. I'm sorry. I don't want to date nobody that's got a 2 year.
No, because my youngest child is 22. I'm not
Absolutely.
dating nobody who got to go to Little Lamb's daycare to pick up their kids at 5:30. I'm not doing it.
Absolutely. So
I
that's
think,
what I'm
and
saying.
to me, it's because we don't really have, We may can have some things in common, but down the line, that's not going to fit with my life
Absolutely.
because I have raised my children. I had kids early in life in high school, and now I want to be free of packing a diaper bag. I want to be free of getting little Cheerios and little to go container and
Oh,
little Cheez-Its and little cheesy
I
wells or
like them.
whatever they call. I'm really not into that. I don't want to do that. Now my kids have grown up. I want to be free on my Saturdays. I want to be able to go out of town if we feel like just jumping up and going somewhere. Not that he got his kids because it's his weekend. And now I'm stuck with kids too because we're together. See, when I date a man, I look at the whole picture. I never look at little specks of the picture because I know one day if we get somewhere, this picture is gonna brought this. I say the cover is the veil is going to open one day. It's
Mm-hmm.
not just you and him no more. Now
Absolutely.
you are entwined into each other's life. And if he has small children, it is not going to be fair. And this is the way I looked at it. It's not going to be fair to his children for him not to spend time with them because I don't have little kids and I want to go to the river walk. I just want to jump up on Saturday and go to the river walk. But they got little league football at 9:30.
That's
I'm
right.
not going.
So that's what I'm saying. That's my whole
Yeah.
point. Is
So
that
those are the things that I need to be that needs to be talked about. Like
right?
how many kids do you have? What are their ages? Things like that. I
Mm-hmm.
I believe you know, and Aaron said on here, he said, I think people move too fast and end up in a sexual relationship and haven't taken the time to get to know the person. Ladies, make these men date you, stick to your standards, and do not ignore the red flag. And Aaron, you are absolutely correct on that because
Said.
the women do not stick to their standards. Before a woman get a man, she be like, I ain't doing this. And then you look around, you be like,
Yeah.
girl, didn't you say you weren't gonna do that? But you're doing it. Women do not stick to their boundaries. I mean, to their standards. Women will waver like a tree.
I
The
forget
men will
we
have
said.
them going back. And because women are nurturers, we get too emotionally involved. The men, we could break up with them today and they be like, all right, because they already got another woman that like them.
Mm-hmm.
And they gonna just go over there because somebody likes them. Us, we got to worry about our kids, who we want around our kids, who we don't let come over. We got a lot of things that we put in play first. Men are not like that. You ain't got to come over there. They come over yours. They're like, oh, you uncomfortable over here? I'm coming over your house.
Mm.
Women aren't like that. Women, we're more nurturers. Like we want everything to be together. Like our bed is made up, our pillows are fluff. That's how we like our relationships. Men are not like that. I think that's why it's so important to have that standard, and you have it in your head. He don't need to know the standard. I'm not trying to give you the playbook to play me. You,
Absolutely.
you get what I'm saying? So I think telling too much is giving them, like Miss Vicky said on here earlier, you're giving them a guide how to treat you. And sometimes it's not the good way. It's a lot of times they use it to play you. Like, I can go right on the edge before she pushed me off the cliff. But
Yeah.
I know she gonna get me to the edge and she gonna hold my hand because she want me now. I have sexed her. I have talked on that phone to her. I have taken her places. I've given her gifts.
Mm-hmm.
She ain't really ready to let me go because the last man she said didn't give her that. The
Yeah.
last man she said did her like this. I'm gonna do a little different from him because I know that broke them up. So now I'm gonna take her out of town 3 times. He only
Mm-hmm.
took her one. I'm gonna take her 2 more places. It's gonna shut her mouth up. So it's kind of like we like she said, we kind of give them the guide to use. And we should stick to our standards.
That's what I was saying. Steve Harvey said is
Stick
that
to your standards.
you can't give them the whole rule book, and I agree with that. I feel like it's just certain things that you definitely have to disclose up front because, like you said,
Those very important things
those
like
are things that are
having
deal breakers.
children.
Those are deal breakers for you. So for me, like you said, with the whole kids thing, now I know I don't want little kids. I'm not having kids because I remember getting out there first dating somebody. I was like, this great guy. He was younger than me, but he was a good guy in the beginning. He
Mm-hmm.
wanted kids, didn't have any kids. Oh, sir, I'm done with kids. And he was like, nah, but we can still date. And
Mm-mm.
it ended up being a disaster. And then because I was very upfront, I don't want kids. I have my kids are grown, basically.
Yeah.
I'm not having any kids. I can't even have kids at this point. I'm letting you know this. So those are things that I feel like just definitely those are some
Should
things
be
that you
this.
definitely
Yeah,
have to
I
disclose
agree.
very upfront. And if they are moving forward, and even if they are moving forward, because I was very honest and told this person, no, I'm telling you, I'm not. But end up still hanging out and they got attached.
Yeah.
So I think at some point too, we have to definitely check ourselves a little bit and say, you know what, even though this person is saying it's cool, it's not cool because you know what this person wants. They don't have kids, they've never had kids, and they want, and you know this is something that they want. So at that point, you know, it was one of those things where I learned that I had to say to myself, I told this person, but even though I told this person and they said, oh, I'm okay with it, in the end, it ended up still being not good because
And then people will push you into that.
yeah,
People will try to push you into that, and then will come back and blame you for it in the end. Like Shamir just said, she said some people can't handle transparency. They can't, and she said setting boundaries will make people move around quick. And
right.
I think that it would save women so much headache
Mm,
if when they see something they don't like after they set those boundaries, because we all have set boundaries. And after they see something, and we know that little things will happen. We're not saying that, but we're
right.
saying, things that we like, like I ain't finna be doing that. I ain't got time. Then you have to set those and stay on that standard that you have set. Just stay right there because then you will find yourself, you be done wasted all this time with this person. Then now you with somebody else. Now you wasting all this time with this. And before you know it, you done got 2 and 3 bodies under you that quick for just not cutting people off. Like, I ain't finna be doing that. Like I'm getting up in age. I don't really have time to do that.
Yeah.
Carrie said they definitely are important. I asked my husband our first date, did he want any more kids? And his answer determined our future. FYI, we've been together 12 years, no kids together. And then Mama said, women do it, do it to be, do it too. That's right, Mama. They do. Be straight up on what you want and looking for. It depends on the two individuals. You teach a person how to treat you. And Mama, that's what we was talking about. You do teach people how to, when you tell them
Absolutely.
how somebody has done you, you are absolutely teaching them how to treat you.
And
Then
that's
they
what
know, yeah,
mm-hmm.
then they know, oh, I can do her like this because she put up with this, or she said that she did. Oh, I know I can do this. So you're right. You do teach people how to treat you. And if their words and action is not going in the same direction, then there you go. If you want, if a man wants you and want to be with you, he will, and you will comply. Every situation is different. There are certain questions you ask, and then you go from there. There's no perfect person, but if there were bad in the first relationship, then for I guess you see.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
so I do agree. Yeah, and I do agree with that. There are no perfect people in this world, but I do believe that, and I'll say this for me. I had a cutoff time, and it was very early in my 40s because I started so young that when I got to my 40s, I just didn't want to deal with it no more. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm not dealing with no man with no little kids.
Mm-hmm.
That is out of there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not dealing with your baby mamas. Y'all
Mm-hmm.
arguing and fighting and scratching each other. I'm out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Then cheating, I'm not dealing with that either. Inconsistencies, I'm not dealing with that either.
Mm-hmm.
Not being thoughtful, I'm not and so I had these, and it knocked a lot of men out the box, and that was good for me because now I can see, like, it's like me going through the jungle, like the more little monkeys get knocked off, I can get on over here to the prince.
Right.
Because if I wouldn't have had those boundaries and those standards for myself, then I still would be in the game out here playing in the muddy water.
Right.
Because if you don't know what you want for you, anybody else can want what they want for themselves as a man. But I'm not doing it because I have been through all of this. If that's the case, I could have just stuck on with who I was with and I could have just rode it on out with that one person. I don't feel like I need to catch bodies to give me a good man. I'm not catching no more bodies. And the only bodies I'm catching is the ones I'm throwing back in the water because I think we've just been through, we too tired. We too tired to keep playing the game that we know we don't have to play anymore. You know what I mean?
And that's what worked for you. And that's what worked for you because you know what you've been through. And everybody, definitely everybody's situation is totally different.
Everybody's situation, I'm going to tell you, they different, but they the same. People can say they different, but they really are the same because we really dealing with the same type of men. These men that we dating are really no different from each other. Some of them play the game longer because they know how to maneuver. Some of them are just who they are. They short-lived. They do things and then boom, it is what it is. It's like, okay. And then some men, they'll do it themselves. They be like, oh, okay, bye. And then some women will be like, oh, okay, bye. Right. But we all are really these women, they fishing in the same pool. All these, because everybody feel like they can get something better. That's why don't nobody want to put in the work. Everybody feel like, oh, she don't do that. Well, such and such will do it. And then women feel like, oh, he don't do that. Or what I see more women putting up with men than men putting up with women. You know what I mean? I see women give more chances than a man would give a chance. Because if we did men half the way they do us,
oh yeah, they not doing
that. They like bye.
Yeah.
Because they got Sally over here ready to make them a carb salad. Yeah. We ain't got nobody waiting to make us a carb salad. We over here, now we back searching. Girl, who is your husband, homeboy, his cousin? Huh? You know, then we back looking again.
Yeah.
Men are not like that. They already got somebody waiting.
Yeah. So social media plays a big part in there nowadays.
Oh, social media is terrible.
That social media right now, because you know, back then it wasn't like, oh, you know, you saw her out at the Walmart or at the HEB or it ain't like that now. You see people out, but hey, you can go on social media now and you can catch somebody real quick. So it's a lot different than when we were definitely when we were younger and growing up. So you got those people where you can just inbox and DM real quick and it's there with open arms. So
Kitty say them social media relationships never work.
They don't work. They never work.
You know, because really what we found out about social media is a fishing pond. Somebody like them dating apps, them black people meet and ChristianSingles.com.
They talking to 50 people at one time.
Fishing apps so that they can sleep with women. And that's all them apps be about. But you know, I think I met 2 people who have actually met somebody on those apps or on these social media dating apps and have actually gotten married and stayed with the people. But
not saying you can't meet people. It's
a faster way, it seems like, to meet people.
It's a slim chance because I do say, but I'm just gonna admit, being on a dating app years ago.
I've been on one 2 years
ago.
Yeah.
When I became single, it's definitely people on there, and they are. I am gonna say they definitely bringing their representative um to the plate. They telling you all these things that you definitely want to hear. But and I mean, you got to get to know people, and I'm not gonna say it's bad people on it because I mean, look, I was on there, and you're not no bad person, right? But I think you definitely like dating apps are not it. I think if you going on there just meeting people, meeting friends, and I'm not gonna say you're not gonna definitely meet somebody that's nice or that you might be able to connect with, but you just got to know that those people, just like they met you, it's probably 50 other people that's in their inbox.
Vicky says she met her husband on Plenty of Fish.
And,
I
and,
said, "Oh,
and
Vicky, that's
I know,
good."
but you know what? And you did. You met
I
your.
have
I'm saying it's definitely you can meet people on there. I'm not saying that it's not good people because I was on there.
so
I
you was a good person and you was on there.
I was a good person and I did it. But I'm
But
just
listen,
saying.
I agree. You know what? To me, it all just comes down to character at the end of the day.
Mhm.
Because I met my husband, he was in prison, and I knew him before that that time in his life. But at the end of the day, I think it just comes down to the character of the person and the presentation. Because even though when me and my husband started talking, he was incarcerated. He wasn't like trying to get money out of me, or he wasn't trying to do all these things. He was who he was. He was the person that everybody knew. He was nice. He was cool. You know what I mean? He was the person that I knew back in the day.
Yeah.
I just hadn't seen him in years.
Yeah.
So I think that really it all comes down to the character of the person. I think that being careful with who you meet, what you put out, what you put out, and what you accept.
Yeah.
And I think that dating for an extended period of time, um, I think that dating for an extended period of time gives you to see people in their up and down moments. You are not go. I've been with my husband for 6 years now, and we've been married almost three, and I've been together with him almost a total of six. I still am learning things about him as time go by. So you would never totally meet nobody, but their character is going to present itself up front. And when I say character, I
Mm.
mean what they stand for in life,
Mm.
who they are as a person, not the little things that they like to do, or they might like to have fun, or they buy these things. I'm talking about character. I'm talking
Yeah.
about what they would do behind your back. I'm talking about what they would do when a situation happened, how they gonna come through. We're talking about character, uh, not anything else. And I think good character is gonna show regardless of whatever situation you in. If you're a good person, you're a good person. It doesn't have to be swindled out of you, or it doesn't have to be groomed out of you. You should have good character, period. You know what I mean? And I think that no, regardless of where you meet somebody, who they present is should be who they are. But we know in these days and times it's not. Shamir said God needs to send her a tracking number, baby, to her partner, because Lord. Teresa said three of her homegirls met their husbands on a dating site, and they are all still married. Yes, Teresa.
It happens, definitely.
That
It
I have a friend that met a guy on a dating site, and he moved. Listen, he did not live in Texas. He lived like in Baltimore or somewhere. He lived very far. He transferred his job to Texas. He bought them a home and everything. My friend been with him, I think, like 12 years. She's been with him. That's back when Black people meet and all that was real popular and people started to get on it. She met him on there. That man relocated his job down to Texas, bought them a home, and my friend been with that man ever since. Teresa said, I agree. I got engaged 3 months ago, and we've been together. I got engaged 3 months ago, and then we've been together for 3 years. Yes, Teresa, that is awesome.
That is
Um,
awesome. Correct. And that's why I
Shamir
say
said,
I think it definitely just depends on the situation. I feel like still some things that you definitely have to talk
yeah,
about.
true.
You learn to know about that person and disclose upfront. I'm not saying you gotta give your life story, but I feel like there's definitely certain things that you have to learn about this person because you do learn their character. You learn what type of person they are, what they have been through in their life, what they are doing currently in their life, and it gives you that story, the backstory behind that person. That's all I'm saying is that
Yeah,
there's certain things that you have to learn about that person in their everyday life and how they move to know what type of person that you are dealing with. And from those things, you definitely make a decision on what it is that you see dealing with them on a daily to
hmm,
learn if that's somebody that you definitely could be with. So that's all I was saying. So
yeah. See, with Dorian, I never had a backstory on Dorian, and Dorian never wanted to talk about his past relationships. He felt like it was irrelevant. Like, what did him and another woman who was different from me had to do with me and him? Because me and her were two different people. So he didn't feel like it was relevant to talk about it. So we never talked about it. But y'all know me. I want to snoop on my own. But and it didn't matter to me anyway because he had showed me before we even physically were together
right,
what type of person he was and the characteristics that I was looking for in a man. He had
right.
showed them to me without him being present. So I guess everybody could be different when they meet somebody.
And they grow, they learn. Some people grow up and they learn from the things and the experiences and the things that they've been through, right? We know everybody is not completely the same. Some
Yes.
people do, and some people grow up and say, oh, you know what, I did this and I learned from it. And so
Yeah.
not everybody do exactly the same thing. So I agree with that. It's not
Shamir said dating people want things to be perfect. They get consumed and confused with these social media standards that is not reality. And Shamir,
I
you're
agree.
absolutely correct. I
Absolutely.
think that when for me, when I met Dorian, it was certain things that I wanted from him, straight up. And if he didn't have them, we probably would not be together today. He needed to be thoughtful of me when I say something, I don't care if he hear me talking about it on the phone with my friends. I I, I thought that he should take that into consideration because that's the type of person that I am, and I wanted somebody like that to take care of his household. Um, I wanted these certain things that he showed me, but I tell you, nothing is perfect. He get on my nerves, and I'm definitely sure that I get on his. You know, we have learned to work through things because that's what you do in a marriage. When you say I do and you commit under the covenant of God, then that is when the real work comes in because now you getting tested by the devil. See, as long as you out in the field playing, the devil ain't really finna be testing you because you doing what he wants you to do. He wants you to out here doing unwedded things and things like that. And I'm not saying nothing against anybody who's not married and dating. I'm just saying that your playing field changes when you marry because now the things that you never looked at or you never saw in the person comes out. Now
Right.
your battle is a whole different battle versus when you were just cohabitating or you were just sexing each other.
Mm,
Your the battlefield gets tougher when you got married because now you are a representation of what God wants us to be. Now you can show other people that young couples can get together and get married. See, everybody else is just dating and sleeping. You don't have a lot of young black couples who are married and showing other black young people that marriage can happen in black families. We can be successful. So that battlefield is a different game. So the relationship does get tougher. It get things that you never looked at, things you never saw, and you be like, I don't really like him today. Like, I don't like him. I don't want to go with him today. And it's something that you never saw. And
yeah.
you've been dating this man for years. But when you get into a different feel, the devil comes on you even harder. He's on your back like a monkey on your back that you can't shake. And everything now that this man that you nicely dated all these years becomes this problem.
Yeah.
And that's when you have to get on your knees a little more to God and play. Because it does, it's not a social media. Baby, these little matching outfits we have on Christmas and all that, it's tough. It can be worked out, but it gets tough. The field gets tough. I guarantee you it does. Portia said, God gives you signs. Do not ignore mental illness is real. That's absolutely true, Portia. Mama said, I don't have a lot of time to waste and not losing a lot of time to waste. Exactly. And beat a dead horse. If that person don't like or can't comply, you definitely need someone God fearing, and God has to be number one. God is the glue that keeps it together. If that isn't a fact to move on, then let them go. There's someone for everybody. Everybody wants and needs are different. The older you get, wisdom will set in from experience, effort, consistency, and communicate. Mama, that is exactly correct.
Absolutely.
God has to be in it, and it has to be something that the other person wants, but they have to want to push towards the marriage part of it too.
Yeah.
Because we know in the word that cohabitating is not what we should be doing. So you are right, Mom. God has to be in it, and then it has to come together like glue, because you can't have God in the middle of the cohabitation, because
Yeah.
we know that is not of God. We know that is not what He wanted and created for us to do. And it's probably why half of them relationships that we was in when we were not married probably didn't work out.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's just the real truth about it.
Yeah.
Ebony said he don't even think he remember how to be in a relationship. Ebony, that's okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Ebony, sometimes it's better to be that way.
It'll feel it when it's time. I feel like
Your
I always
skills will kick back in. Trust me,
think
when you find the
it's
right
time
person.
and when it's ready, you'll know. I just
Yes.
like that. I really do. I just feel like it's when it's that time and it's that person, you'll know. So
Yeah. Shamir said two people have to be willing to stand and fight for each other for the relationship, good, bad, great, indifference. People be so ready to throw the deuces, and it could be a simple misunderstanding. Shamir, you're absolutely correct. It takes growth, it takes counseling, and it takes two willing participants. If you have a person, and and, and I think that those things should come after the court. I think the courtship is where you get to know the person, and you get to know if I can see myself with this person long term based on the entire picture. We talking about their entire life. You can't pick and choose what you want out of their life.
right.
You have to take the whole person and all their baggage that come with them. So you got to understand that in the beginning. But when the marriage comes, you have to be willing to put your armor on.
Yeah.
You have to be able to put on that full armor of God, because you are going to need it or you are going to get slayed. That marriage part of after this presentation and this courtship and you get together, that girl, listen,
That's
everybody know I love Dorian. I've divorced him probably 52 times in my head in the past 3 years, because you get to that step in your life where you like, because I'm used to throwing in the towel. You know what I mean? I'm like, bye. Good. And I have been in this is my third marriage. And I had to go get counseling for myself. But I also met a man who was willing to stick it out just as much as I was. These other ones was just like, oh, bye. I got somebody else anyway, because we end up separating because of the cheating. But I
yeah.
did have somebody who was willing to stick it out with me
And
and
for
fight
that,
the fight.
that's
Right. So
that's
uh,
great.
you right. We have to be healed. Janice, you're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Ebony said he gonna need some training wheels
This is a great topic.
Brother, we're gonna be your wingman when you go on a date. We're
This
gonna have you a
this
what
is
they call it, uh speed dating.
yeah.
Ebony, we're gonna take you on speed dating.
This
Yes,
has been an awesome topic though.
yes, I think this was a good topic, presentationship. Guys, when y'all meet somebody, be genuine. Don't go out there with that good presentation
Mm-hmm.
and you know presenting something that is not who you really are. The real deal is that we got people out here who are really looking for relationships, who really wants to be in these relationships, who are looking forward to having a nice life with somebody. And if you know that you just are not in that place at the time that you meet that person, that is okay.
Just be
Uh,
honest.
just be honest about it. Yes, just be honest and upfront about it, and that way you save people a lot of time.
That's all. That's it. That's basically the
That's
bottom
basically it. You save
the
yourself
bottom line.
time and you save your time. And I think we've talked about this before, is that we don't have a lot of time left. People
Yep.
thinking that we got all this time. We just buried a cousin this weekend that's 40 some years old. So we don't never know when our last days are. So it's like, don't be playing with people's time. Present who you are. And if that does not fit with the person that you met, move on. You know what I mean? Don't be getting your souls and all these things intertwined with these people. And then just meet the people, go on some day. Give yourself about 7, 8 months,
Yeah.
9, 10, give yourself a year and just date and see what happens. And then if you see things that are on your list or in your mind that you know what, now in the long run, I'm not going to be able to do that. Just, nicely exit on. And the other person may feel like, oh, I can change it. 9 times out of 10, these people are not changing. We a little older. We set up in our ways. We ain't really finna change for nobody. Not to that degree. We might change a little something, but we're not really going to change for nobody. Mama said it's not about a piece of paper, it's about commitment because your word is bond. If you commit to one another, whether it's a piece of paper involved, you will be held accountable regardless. A piece of paper is man-made. And that is true, Mom. I think paper is, we
Def-
want the paper because the paper comes with rules and policies. When somebody pass away, you got insurance policies, you got deeds to homes, you have things that the state that we live in ties us to. So when somebody dies or passes away or these things, life happens, we won't be not being able to be on that program or not being able to take care of these insurance policies. So the paper, but the rings and the ceremony under God in the front of the people that we love, is what binds us together under the covenant of God. Um, and the paper is just for the state of Texas or whatever state we live in, basically saying that these people have came together in matrimony through the state of Texas. So if somebody passes away, I won't have to fight and struggle to bury you, or your family can't just come in and make decisions because I am not your wife on a piece of paper. So
right.
yeah, we do understand that that is man-made, but it also has rules behind it because we live in this world, and it just is what it is. When you do get married, Miss Kimberly Satterwhite says she have enjoyed this topic. Thank you so much, Miss uh,
And Chantel,
Kimberly.
and
I'm glad that you tuned in. I
yeah,
appreciate it. Ebony said, I just told my coworkers I have my sisters to help me. Yes,
absolutely.
gonna help you. Chanel said that I enjoyed this topic as well. I was glad I was finally able to tune in. Thank you for tuning in, Chanel. Y'all, we have actually went over our time. It actually was a very good
Great topic.
podcast tonight. I think that presentationship is very important because it sets the foundation for where you're going. And if you go in to it being non-truthful, then you can really, hurt somebody feelings, or you can lead somebody into a direction that they may not want to go. So whenever you meet somebody, just be honest. God will send you somebody. It's not a rabbit race to get into these commitments, because they do come with a lot. And one day I will have some wives on here and we will talk about what it's like to be married, because people think that it's peaches and cream, and they think that we do have very happy times and we do have sad times, because like I said, we're on a different battlefield from other people when we get married. We're on another field, and it doesn't mean that the field is better than the next person who isn't married. We just have a tougher battle to fight, because now we are doing things the right way under God. And uh and, and we know that anytime we do right and we do things God's way, the devil is going to bring opposition. So you have to be ready for that. And that's a whole nother topic. But thank you guys for tuning in. It was great. Me and Erica both appreciate you guys tuning in with
Absolutely.
us
Thank you guys.
tonight. Y'all just be honest. Presentation is good, and do not be in a presentation ship. Understand where you see some wrongness going on there, and make some changes to adjust what's going to make you happy and what's going to fulfill your dreams, and everything that you have grown up to know that you want as an adult, to live a happy, fulfilled, stress-free life. So, Erica, you got anything to say to the audience?
You said it.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in to Relock Podcast. We're on every Tuesday at 7:45 p.m. Hey, mark it on your calendar. Tell your friends, your co-workers. Share, share, share. If you guys have any topics that you would like to talk about them. We talk about everything, real life issues. It's not just relationships. Um, there's so many other things that we are battling against in this world that
Yep.
we need to talk about, and we need to get out there in the forefront. So inbox me or Erica, hit us up on Facebook, in our inbox, TikTok, Instagram. Let us know if y'all have any topics that y'all would like to talk about, or if y'all want to be a guest on the show. We are open for guests. We
Yep.
would like a new guest every week if you guys would like to tune in with us. So
Yes.
thank you guys for uh, sh- tuning in tonight. We love you all. We see you guys next Tuesday, 7:45 p.m. Peace.